Greetings everybody, my name is Tommy and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to sit down and do a quick thoughts on Captain America Civil War. I finally went and saw it tonight, and also do a little comparison between it and Batman v Superman and just tell why one succeeded and the other just screwed up. Anyways, Captain America Civil War pretty much leaves off right where the Avengers The Age of Ultron kind of left off, with Captain America now in charge of this new set of Avengers. Things kind of go haywire when the Scarlet Witch kind of accidentally sets off an explosion. Not completely her fault, but sets off an explosion that destroys a building and kills several people. And now people want a leash on the Avengers because S.H.I.E.L.D. is now quote unquote gone, because they try to keep the whole Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. thing out of the Marvel movie universe, but they're gone and the Avengers are pretty much unchecked, so who better to control them than the UN? This is the same body that allows Iran in charge of women's issues. Oh geez, I wonder why the Captain America would say that's a bad idea. But Tony Stark and some of the others want in just because they have the extra protection, and they agree that they might go out of control and hurt people if there isn't somebody kind of watching out for them and giving them orders. Things go really crazy when signing that bill, a bomb goes off, and it's Captain America's former friend Bucky Barnes who is accused of doing it, and the captain has to set out to see if it was Bucky, find him, and keep Bucky from getting killed. And a whole bunch of other stuff happens that sets him off against Tony and the other half of the Avengers. And it's a really great flick, and they do a whole bunch of it right. First, let's look at the Iron Man and Captain America relationship. That's done really well. The ending fight scene between them, and there's several fights. There's one big group just kind of clash against them, and then there's one at the very end that's very, very personal, because Tony is very, very mad at both Captain America and Bucky for some very personal things that I don't want to spoil here, but there's a reason there to beat the crap out of each other. There's a definite reason, and you just feel the emotions behind the punches, and kind of that this friendship might be over at the very end when Captain America finally walks away and Tony's kind of just battered, kind of shouting at him that his powers don't really belong to him, and what Steve Rogers' response is very memorable. There's one complaint I have about this movie, is the villain's a little bit lacking, but then that's supposed to be that way because the whole idea is to focus on the confrontation of the superheroes. Basically, he's just some nobody who lost his families to the Avengers screw up in the Avengers Age of Ultron, and he's out for some revenge, and he's doing it through psychological manipulation. Like I said, he's not much of a bad guy, but he's good enough as is, and he's got better reasoning, and he has more logic in his plan than Lex Luthor in Batman v Superman, which, let's go there. One of my complaints about Batman v Superman when I reviewed it is that there isn't exactly a single part that's completely broken with Batman v Superman, but it's just the way it's stitched together, because DC wanted to catch up with Marvel in only 2 movies, rather than doing what Marvel did, which was wait 5 years and piece it together, then start doing the crossovers. We have a completely new Batman in this movie that is completely different than the Nolan Batman or the Burton Batman. And we don't have any time to really focus on him, why he's different, and what makes him tick. Here, like I said, you know what these 2 characters, Captain America and Iron Man, and what makes them tick, and you understand why they're so pissed at each other at the end, that they would go into this all out, almost to the death clash at the very end. And it's not the fact that Captain America's mom is the same name as Iron Man's mom that ends up ending the situation. No, the only reason why they don't kill each other is because Steve Rogers, Captain America, is a good person to his core, regardless of the situation. He never gives up his ideals, so of course he's not going to kill Tony Stark, but the idea that he's so enraged at the end that he might actually run the shield through Stark's head is definitely there. In Batman v Superman, when we finally got to the fight scene, it's like, okay, I can understand why Superman's gotta fight Batman. He's being forced, but what's Batman's motivation again? Yeah, he doesn't trust Superman, but so far he's got no reason to go into this all-out fist fight unless I missed something completely off screen. Also, the way they introduced two of the side characters that will be getting their own movies, Black Panther and Spider-Man, is definitely worth noting here. Spider-Man is a side character. He's only got a few minutes of screen time, but what's there is very memorable. They make sure that any screen time is focused on him and that he's a very different Peter Parker than we saw in the previous two iterations. In fact, I would say this is easily the best version of Spider-Man there is. He's definitely this geeky kid and beginner would be superhero, and how Tony Stark helps him out so he could help Tony in his own ends is very entertaining. His kind of send off after the big fight is very, very funny. As far as the Black Panther, he could have easily been Wonder Woman, kind of just come in for random scenes that really don't tie too much in with the rest of the action. But no, he's very personal in it. When that bomb blows up at the UN at the very beginning, he loses family members and now he's out for revenge. So even though he's a side character that hasn't been developed, you already know enough to why he would be both a problem and a hero all rolled into one. And his resolution at the end is very, very satisfying. And I think he'll have a very good movie when they make a standalone movie. And I can't wait for the standalone Spider-Man movie. And again, and one of the things I should have to mention is yes, Captain America Civil War is a lot lighter tone than Batman v Superman. But one of the things that I can't stand is that in order to be a good movie, you have to go dark. And a lot of DC fans are justifying their defense of Batman v Superman as Marvel's too light. Well, in order to be good going dark, you've got to aim for a shade of gray. You can't be dark all the time. Otherwise, it's depressing, cynical, and it leaves the audience feeling joyless when they leave the movie theater, which is kind of what I was feeling at the end of Batman v Superman. I had no real fun with that movie. Here, plenty of fun, plenty of great jokes, and I enjoyed it. If DC wants to go with the darker tone in the movies, that's fine, but they've got to find to have a little bit of warmth and wit. Otherwise, it's just a snooze fest, and that's the problem. Captain America Civil War is a movie I definitely will see myself buying on Blu-ray when it comes out. As far as Batman v Superman, I don't think I'll even want to stream it if it ever hits Hulu or Netflix. I don't really see myself watching that movie again. I didn't enjoy it. Anyways, this is Tommy signing out. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them down below.